Yo, this is Terrell from Hall of Fame Bullies, D-Line, and this is Bully Rants. This rant is just to get straight to the topic. I've had this question about a million times now on whose fault do I think it is, and what can be done to correct the out-of-hand thing. As far as it's not just an exotic thing, it's not just a people mixing dog thing, but it goes a lot deeper. And the reason why I say it goes a lot deeper is just because, plain and simple, people are breeding a lot of trash dogs. You know, they're breeding a lot of dogs that have not only structural issues, but temperament issues, breathing issues, which can be correlated to the structural issues. And then we even have now this movement of people where I'm seeing more and more posts where people have, you know, the audacity to try to down people who push for a correct dog, you know. And that's funny in a lot of ways because, I mean, just listen to the word correct. So it means it's the right way to do things. You know, the more I see the pictures, it's just disgusting. And it's further perpetuated by the fact that the registries are allowing this stuff. You know, I mean, when we did it before, I mean, when we first really started showing a lot, you know, you couldn't come into the ring with a dog with a kink tail. That was just a small thing, but a kink tail was like, oh my God. I remember it was one dog that had a crooked foot back in the day. And everybody just was like, man, I'm not breeding the dogs, bad as hell, but he had a crooked foot. So that tell you how far along we've come, that those dogs were pretty much banned and outcast, and certain people took the liberties to try to down those dogs heavy and use that as a reason. And now today, you know, point blank, led by the ABKC, the breed has pretty much been destroyed. No matter what anybody else tries to say about it, and I say led by the ABKC, and I stand behind that. The ABKC, with all the politics and the games that they've played, have pretty much single-handedly destroyed the breed. A lot of naive people want to say, oh, they did this and they did that. Yeah, they might have set a foundation for success, but, you know, they've pretty much destroyed that. You know, when you made the when they made the rules loosen up so much that you could bring anything into the ring, a sway back dog, a crooked leg dog, you know, bad bites, bad tails, you know, dogs champing out with bad bites, dogs becoming super grand champion, 8 million different titles with obvious bad flaws. They took away the integrity of the dogs. When you look at other registries, that's not allowed. If you go to a national championship for an AKC show or whatever, and you go in the ring, that's the top dog in that breed. I mean, you're not going to go over that dog. He's not going to have a bad bite if that's not allowed in his standard. He's not going to have bad hips. He's not going to have splayed feet. It's not really, it's really structurally and to the naked eye, it's not going to be anything wrong with that dog. Today we have so many champions that are flawed, and it's not to pick on those dogs, but it's to pick on the registry. Because if you ask why this breed is what it is today, it's because you had a registry that opened the doors and allowed the type of nonsense to go on that's going on today. You know, you had such issues as, of course, the Miyagi thing, to where, okay, the dog is either a dwarf or, you know, and then there's other things that popped up with this whole French Bulldog thing, you know, presented by his owner. But, you know, bottom line is, if you don't allow this dog to be registered, then none of his offspring, none of his litter mates, or anything associated with the dog should be registered. And if you do anything outside of that, you're beating up the integrity of the registry and of the breed, you know. And as of right now, the main thing that I always stress is, if you're going to do exotics and make it sort of how the Shorty Bulls is and make your own other breed, take into account what's going on with your dog, you know, because if you're not breeding with a long-term plan of producing a superior, healthy animal that, you know, it can be bully. It can be very, very heavy, very, very bully, but it still needs to be athletic. It still needs to be able to run good. It still needs to have straight legs, good angulation, a good bite, and maybe, you know, instead of posting up breeding banners every 3 seconds, you should take into account that you hope that the people who are buying your dogs will have this dog around for longer than 2 or 3 years and don't lose a mortgage on trying to keep the dog alive with all of these health problems. And I mean, and we continuously went into the whole cycle of everything about this, and the bottom line is that I can't speak for the new registries, but the old one just didn't step up. It pretty much left the breed hanging, and it decided that money over everything. Dave continuously goes on the radio and talks about he's taking a stance against bulldogs and he's going to do this and he's going to do that. And no one's fooled. The ABKC is Dave's registry. We'll take a stance on it. Stop continuously playing the politic game. Go out, take a stance on it. These dogs that do not fit the standard, deregister them. If a dog comes to the show and it obviously has major flaws, deregister that dog's ability to be bred and continue on these flaws that are damaging the breed. But once again, nobody is taking that stance. A lot of people talk and whisper and have opinions like politicians that they'll say whatever is popular at the time, but nobody's taking a real stance for the dogs. You know, I continuously see all of these fat dogs, all these deformed dogs. You know, just plain and simple, to me, the dogs look terrible. You know, and I know they feel terrible. You know, I've seen dogs that basically damn near pass out in the ring and the judge walks over and hands them a ribbon. What does that say for your breed? You know, it's about time that people who really care about these dogs start speaking up and saying that they're very unhappy with the way things are going. Instead of complaining about every show and about the unprofessionalism of every show, you know, at some point in time, stop supporting these shows. Stop supporting a registry that's not going to support you and your need and your what should be your first and foremost concern, your dog. Right now, we are at the lowest rung of any breed out there, period. Nobody else starts shows 3 hours late. Nobody else starts a national championship 3 hours late. Nobody else has all of these issues about paying off this and paying off that and who won a championship because they know who, and taking pictures of dogs with deformed legs with trophies sitting in front of them, you know, sway backs, making divisions where all of this kind of activity is allowed. You know, at some point in time, we have to stand up for the dogs and make that the most important thing. You know, everybody with your $5,000 puppy breedings and, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. Really, you know nothing about the dogs. If you ask 90% of these so-called breeders to really go in depth about the dogs, about the blood, about genetics, about the sickness that's involved with these dogs, about a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan on what their dogs should look like, they can't tell you anything. You go to most of their yards and really they're just throwing anything together to hope that they come up with the fattest, most ridiculous monstrosity that they can and hope that you're willing to pay $10,000 a stud. Hell, I seen a $25,000 puppy that looked like an English bulldog and they're calling it an American bully, and to me that's even more disgraceful because, I mean, if you're saying that you're not lying and you get offended when somebody says you that you're lying, stop hanging papers, period. Go ahead and make your own breed, take some accountability, make a correct exotic dog, and stop hanging papers and stop screwing over everybody saying that you're doing something that you're not. Anyway, we could go on and on about this all day, but I had a lot of messages, so I stated my case on it. Hopefully somebody will step up and start really representing the dogs and stop kissing ass and basically just screwing up the breed for the sake of having a big name or making money. Alright, hit me up with any questions. I'll be more than happy to give me your opinions, and please send me a video so I can put your video up. Thank you.